Glass heart shatter in the middle of the night. Tiptoe screams, but she turned off the light. Masked man walking in the floorboards creak. Saw a death shadow, but she chose not to speak. Phone on silent, eyes wide shut. Truth on lockdown, mouth sewn shut. Four souls gone while the moon stood still. But she's a survivor, yeah, that's a tale they sell. You saw the ghost in black. He even walked right past. But you froze and faded out while the world bled out. Worried silence in the hallway, heartbeat on the floor. You saw the monster that didn't know 911. Truth tastes bitter when the lies get thick. Pretty little witness, but the story don't stick. Dance with danger while the innocent die. Now the whole world's asking you why. Silence in the hallway, nobody heard the cry. Hours went by and the sun came up. Still no call, still no backup. Changed your story, changed every scene. Clean hands, but your silence ain't clean. Trauma smells big when the cameras roll. Crocodile tears with a shaking soul. But the truth don't sleep and the dead don't lie. Even glitter cracks when the mask runs dry. You saw the ghost in black. He even walked right past. But you froze and faded out. Now the world's calling you out. For your silence in the hallway, heartbeat on the floor. You saw the monster, didn't dial 911. Truth tastes bitter when the lies get thick. Pretty little witness, but the story don't stick. Dance with danger while the innocent die. Now the whole world's asking you why. Why? Silence in the hallway, nobody heard the cry. Maybe you said too much. Maybe you said too little. Maybe the truth got lost somewhere in the middle. Spotlight burns when the crowd wants blood, and justice screams louder than a flash flood. You run from the questions, hide from the night, but lies break easy underneath bright light. For your silence in the hallway, shadows on the floor. You saw his face, but you closed the door. Truth is poison when you drink that lie. Pretty little witness, but your alibi's dry. Listen to the screaming, echo in your head. You walked away, breathing while four friends fled. Silence in the hallway, nobody heard why.
Welcome to True Crime Unleashed. Now, what I want to go over tonight is I posted a video a couple of days ago about the Jose Cruz body cam. Well, I also have the redacted version of that same body cam. You know, you'll see Jose Cruz for maybe about 5 minutes, then the rest is redacted, but he's still speaking of even though he's not on camera. And here we go with that. And that's not me with no sound. That is the officer right now with no sound.
Do you mind if we come in, or are you coming out? Okay. Okay, so I brought Officer Lara with me. He speaks Spanish, so he can help translate if you have any questions about what I'm saying, okay? But because there's 3 of us here, I'm just going to remind you that you do have the right to remain silent, and anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney and to have an attorney present before you answer any questions or make any statements. Okay, and you can choose to invoke your rights at any time and not answer any questions or request an attorney.
¿Entendió? No, no, dice que tiene derecho de permanecer silencio si gusta y tiene derecho para tener un abogado presente y si entiende sus derechos. ¿Sí? Yes, you understand.
Okay.
¿Por qué voy a tener un abogado?
What would he need a lawyer at this time?
It's up to you. It's just because there are three of us here and we're talking to you about the incident that happened upstairs. You probably got the search warrant paperwork that we left. So just so you understand your rights, I want to make sure that I reiterate those to you.
So, el papel que me dejaron
Uh-huh.
es como para yo buscar un abogado.
So that paper, what does it indicate on that paper? Is that for him to find a lawyer?
No, that's not what that was about.
Ya, porque yo hablé con un abogado ya, pero también quiero saber por qué vinieron a registrar mi casa, porque quiero saber si me están acusando las mujeres de arriba, porque vinieron a registrarme toda la casa. No entiendo por qué.
So he is just, he doesn't understand why his house or apartment was searched.
Okay, so I talked to Miguel, who you were supposedly with the night that the man came to your upstairs neighbors. And you told Sergeant Brashears that you were with Miguel all night at his house. And when I talked to Miguel, Miguel said that was not true. He said you.
There's the link pin for you up top, AR. Cruz, he has a very unique background. He helped his uncle murder his aunt, so he did a little bit of time in prison, and he was paroled in 2018. Now, mind you, the murders at 1122 King Road took place in November 13th, 2022. What's going on with the body cam was a year before the homicides. And the girls that lived upstairs from him said that there was a gentleman running around the neighborhood with a ski mask and a knife. So, yeah, the cigarette butts that we got before in the Idaho 4 case, the cigarette butts were Jose Cruz's.
You guys went to the lumber yard and then walked here, and he left at about 3 a.m.
¿Mande?
¿Cómo dijo?
Digo que habló con Miguel y que Miguel había dicho que no había estado con usted al horario que usted.
He was actually on the radar of the Moscow PD because he did go to some bars in Pullman, and Maddie and Kaylee had friends in Pullman, so he would have ran into either Maddie or Kaylee at one of the Pullman bars. And he drowned at Paradise Creek back in 2023. But for the first 3 or 4 days, he was being surveilled by the Pullman Police Department and Moscow PD.
So I told him about the part where Miguel said he was not with him. By what time?
At 3 a.m.
A las 3 de la mañana.
So I go outside,
Mhm.
give my friend, Miguel come in my house. This coming the bar.
Mhm.
So Miguel, have a ride for your house, He's coming here. The bar is 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
So coming here, Miguel vino y estuvo un rato conmigo. Venimos caminando de allá. Pero salimos a las 2 de la barra. ¿Cómo no va a estar aquí más de las 3? O sea, yo creo le dio miedo decir, o no sé, pero sí.
Yes, brother. If you'd like to come up, we can talk about it more. There is a connection somehow between either Kaylee or Maddie, because they both had friends in Pullman and they did party in Pullman at a couple of the bars. I'm going to be looking at to see exactly where he ran into the Kaylee or Maddie at. It could have been at the lumber yard where he frequented, but at the same time, he could have met them at any of the other bars there in Pullman.
No sé a qué horas realmente, pero sí estuvo aquí.
So he doesn't know exactly what time it was, but after the bar closed around 2 o'clock, that's when they walked over here, and he was around here around that time. That's what he's saying.
Okay. So why did you tell Sergeant Brashears that you stayed at Miguel's house?
¿Por qué le dijo al sargento Bashir que usted se quedó en la casa de Miguel?
No, es que no me entendió.
Okay. He said he
Sí,
didn't.
yo le dije a él que yo no hablo inglés.
He told him that he didn't speak English, and that he says that he didn't understand.
Okay. But it was pretty
De que
clear.
yo le estaba diciendo que Miguel se fue a su casa, ¿sí me entiende?
He said
Pero
that
no,
Miguel.
yo sé que por eso le llamaron a él, porque no me entendió. Y yo desde un principio le dije, no te voy a entender todo lo que me vas a decir y tampoco te voy a poder contestar, porque usted ya sabe que yo no hablo inglés.
So he's saying that he let Bashir know that he doesn't understand Spanish, or I'm sorry, English, and he told him that he wasn't gonna understand either.
Okay. Because
I
it was
do
pretty
thank you for
clear
coming
that
and
you told
supporting me,
him that
AR.
you stayed the night at
Brother, I do.
Miguel's
Thank you.
house.
Dijo que él le quedó claro a usted que usted había dicho que se quedó en la casa de Miguel.
No. Yo le estaba diciendo de que él se había ido a esa hora y yo me quedé a dormir aquí.
He's saying that he left at that hour, that he explained to Bashir that he left at that hour and he was going to stay here.
Okay. Because you told.
Y sí, yo creo que no me entendió, pero pues yo le estaba diciendo que él había venido aquí a mi casa y que él se fue y yo me quedé aquí a dormir.
He's saying that he came to his house and then he left and then he stayed here. That's what he said.
Okay. Because you told Sergeant Brashears you weren't home. You weren't here at all that night.
Que usted le había dicho a Sergeant Bashir que usted no ha estado aquí toda esa noche.
No, sí. Yo me quedé a dormir y le dije que me había levantado a las 11 de la mañana para ir a trabajar.
He said he stayed here and then he woke up at 11 o'clock so he can go to work.
Okay.
Yeah. Pero por eso yo quería que viniese. Es más, yo le dije, cuando vengas con alguien que sepa español, porque yo no entiendo, o sea, no me puedo explicarle. ¿Sí me entiende?
He said that he told Bashir that when he does come back to bring somebody that speaks Spanish because he doesn't understand.
Okay. And that's what we did. So it's easier to understand.
Good.
Yeah. So that night, do you remember hearing anything from upstairs?
Esa noche sí escuchó algo arriba que había
No,
sucedido.
yo venía bien tomado, pues nomás me metí, Miguel estuvo aquí sentado, vinieron por él, se fue y yo me quedé dormido, yo no vi nada. No.
So he's saying he was drunk and then that Miguel stayed at this couch and then he doesn't remember.
So Miguel stayed the night here?
No,
For
he's said over here, he's talking for, he's waiting for ride, you know.
Okay.
So Miguel leave, I go to the restroom, in my bed, he sleep. Because he said 3, I don't remember what time, so he's sleeping, so because I go work.
Okay. 'Cause there were a lot of officers here, and there was a lot of noise shortly after around 3:30. Do you remember hearing any of that?
que había muchos oficiales aquí y ellos
No.
han oído ruidos. ¿Usted no escucha nada de
I
eso?
don't see that.
Okay. And are you friends with the girls upstairs?
Tiene una amistad con...
No.
Okay.
So, quiero también que, porque yo fumo y salgo a fumar y van 2 veces que la muchacha me viene a decir que no fume aquí.
So he says that he smokes and then he goes outside to smoke every once in a while, and then there's been times where she comes out and tells him not to smoke.
But that's all of your interaction with them?
Es la única interacción que tiene con ella.
Yeah.
Do you have any more questions for us?
Tiene
O sea,
preguntas.
que necesito saber qué va a pasar, pues, porque ya van 3 veces que viene.
He,
Y yo le aseguro que usted me conoce.
Ujú.
¿Cómo anda haciendo eso yo?
he wants to know that it's been 3 times that we've come, or que ellos vienen o nosotros.
No, o sea, ya han venido 3 veces los oficiales, pues.
Ujú.
La primera vez a cuestionarme. La segunda vez a saquearme la casa. Ahorita otra vez, o quiero saber qué pasa.
Okay. So
¿Qué va a pasar?
he said that it's been 3 instances that we've come, and then what's gonna happen after this?
So after today, the case will be closed. You're not under arrest. You're not being charged with anything at this time.
El caso va a estar cerrado. Por ahorita no hay antecedentes para usted. Es nomás para investigar.
Okay. Sí, porque el papel que me dejaron aquí, yo se lo enseñé se lo mandé a un abogado y pues le pregunté de que me diera, pues, si era una orden de... Oh, I have a question. No, cuando vinieron a registrar mi casa, me dejaron este papel que yo lo había perdido.
Okay, so when you guys had come to search the house,
Uh-huh.
that he obtained this paper after he lost the first one.
For 1 year or something.
Okay. We don't need that. We didn't touch it.
Yeah, I not like why?
Oh, this paper here?
No. This paper, dígale que este papel ya tenía 1 año de haberlo perdido.
So that paper, it's been about a year since it's been lost.
Y cuando vinieron a registrar mi casa, me lo dejaron aquí donde está la televisión, o sea, a la vista.
So when the apartment was searched, that was left. Ahí lo dejaron?
No, me lo dejaron allá.
Okay, when the apartment was searched, this was found in his room over there.
Okay. That just means
I
that
don't
we
know
found
why.
it. I don't know why either.
¿Y qué buscan?
We didn't leave anything here. We didn't come with anything. So it must have been somewhere and an officer found it. And then that's just where they put it when they left.
Dicen que lo habían encontrado en un lugar, no, y nomás por dejarlo ahí lo dejaron.
Pero es que no entiendo por qué, si este papel yo ya por 1 año lo estoy buscando. Y cuando vienen a saquear mi casa, está así, ¿verdad?
So yeah, he said he lost that paper and just wondering how it suddenly appeared when it was searched.
I don't know why.
We just must have found it while we were looking through other things.
So, yo hablé con un abogado y me dijo de que lo mismo que me están diciendo, ¿eh? Pero, o sea, no sé, ya, pues, ahorita que vienen de vuelta, y pero pues si quieren yo busco un abogado y para que me lleve el caso.
So he's just confused, and if he would want a lawyer to take up his case if there was a case.
So you're not being charged with anything right now. I can't make the decision about an attorney for you. But given that the case is closed and you're not being charged, there's no continuing case.
Ahorita el caso está cerrado, que no tiene usted ahorita no hay cargos, no van a haber arrestos, entonces el caso va a estar cerrado. Ella no puede avisarle si quiere agarrar el abogado de aquí para adelante.
Okay.
But if you have legal questions about the warrant itself, you could contact an attorney with those questions.
Pero si tiene preguntas sobre el expediente que tiene allí, puede contactar un abogado si gusta usted para si tiene preguntas sobre eso.
Do you have a face mask that you wear at work?
Tiene una máscara que se pone para trabajar.
What color is it?
¿Qué color es?
Las mismas de tela, negra, blanca.
Okay. Could I see it?
¿La puede ver?
And this, the black.
Okay.
The work.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
Y gracias por el tiempo,
I do not understand why this entire thing was redacted. You know, when he opened the door, it wasn't redacted, and then everything else went to redacted. That baffles my mind. why they decide to redact this. But you did hear that officer calling him out for basically lying, saying he was at one place when he was someplace else. It just boggles my mind. Is there a connection with Jose Cruz Jr.? Yes, Cruz was never charged. But isn't it kind of ironic that the cigarette butts that were collected in the Idaho 4 case were Cruz's? Because they did collect DNA from a lot of people in the case. Maybe a reason why that he was surveilled and they collected his DNA from the cigarettes, and then he did drown in 2023 at Prairie Lake. They're in Moscow, Idaho. Maybe that's the reason why they marked and they crossed him off the suspect list, is because he passed away from drowning. But he does have an interesting backstory. Jose Cruz does. He helped his uncle kill his aunt, and he was sent to prison, and he was paroled in 2018. And see, what's weird is when he was arrested, his name was Jose Cruz Flores. And in 2018, he got out. And then in 2021, he lived below these young girls that were college age. And all of a sudden, somebody started running around the neighborhood with a ski mask and a knife. And this guy's name popped up. Yeah. But here's the body cam of the college girls. That they went and visited, the police did.
Hi. Is Alex home?
Yes. she
Okay.
is.
Can I talk to her for a minute?
Yeah. Yes.
Hi.
Hey there.
I just had some follow-up questions for you. We talked on the phone earlier.
Or are we going out there?
Up to you. I can come in. You can come out here. Whatever you're more comfortable
I'll
with.
just come out here for
Okay.
a second, yes.
Okay. I just had some follow-up questions. Did you remember anything else about his appearance, the knife, anything like that?
I really didn't. I've honestly kind of remembered less ever since
Okay.
it happened, but I don't know. Like,
Okay.
he was wearing a ski mask, I'm pretty sure, gloves, and like black hoodie, sweatpants, something like that.
Okay. And then can you describe the length of the knife to me?
I would say like a little bit bigger than a steak knife is what I remembered right after it happened. Like maybe just a smidge bigger than a steak knife, but not like a butcher
Okay.
knife or anything.
Can you give me like a hand estimate? Because
Maybe that.
okay. If you want to hold your hands kind of down that way, I'm going to take a picture of your estimate there. And is that with the handle or without?
Just like the blade.
Okay, with the handle,
Alright.
how long would you say?
Maybe like that long.
Okay. Did you see the handle at all?
No, it was like in his hand. Like
Okay. Okay, and was that right or left hand?
that. Right hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then do you guys ever put trash in that trash can over there?
We honestly, there's 4 of us who live here, and we were just talking about it because we just got a bill for putting our trash in the wrong one. Because we
Uh-huh.
all just kind of put our stuff in mostly these 2 over here, I would say, but depending on who takes it out, sometimes we switch up the trash cans. We've never,
Not in that little
yeah,
one?
not in that tiny little gray one over there.
Okay, in that one.
Yeah.
And then what about the one in the back of the house?
We don't
Okay.
really use that one. We
Okay.
never.
Sometimes she doesn't know the answer to these
Nope,
questions.
you're good. Okay. I think that's all I had. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you.
So that was Jose Cruz upstairs neighbors, and they were talking about a man in a black mask walking around with a knife. And I don't know why they didn't show the girl showing trying to show the length of the knife. They just took a picture, and they're like, well, how long was it? You know, they should have showed her hand where she was trying to measure the knife with her hand. It just goes to show you in the Idaho 4 case that you have a lot of inconsistencies when it comes to this case. As well as a lot of suspects who have come and gone, and as well were cleared way too quickly in this case. Like, I believe it was the first 3 or 4 days people were cleared quickly. As well as you have the roommates who act like they didn't know what was going on, they didn't see what was going on, when it was clearly presently evident that they knew everything that was going on in their house. I mean, and Emily Allant, she said a lot in her interview, as well as Kaylin Nguyen. Kaylin Nguyen said more stuff in her interview than Dylan and Bethany and Hunter Johnson. Yes, exactly, Joanna. These investigators don't do enough follow-up questions. It's weird. Something going on in Moscow. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like one gigantic cover-up going on in this case. But yet we're supposed to believe everything that comes out of Bill Thompson's mouth and everything else. Bill Thompson / Lee Jennings. We're supposed to believe everything, but it's not all sunflowers, butterflies, and rainbows. It's not. Something went on in that house that they don't want us knowing about. Well, I'm doing good. Truth and Justice. I'm doing really good. How are you doing today? I'm looking for something right now. Yeah, I swear, these investigators make me want to pull my hair out. Here we go.
So they can test the entire you could have like told us what happened before they sent a text.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
They sent a text to the entire university before even telling us what happened. Like, obviously we know, but it'd be nice to have a confirmation.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
So that right there, those kids are telling that officer that people was sending texts out at letting them know what happened. I hate when it's redacted. Hey, Maven, how you doing? Yeah, the entire thing's redacted. Yeah.
So we want to get you guys out of the cold. I know this is. I need to get all your information.
Okay, hold on.
Is that Dylan?
I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
Go for 13. You can just put their information in the call notes. 102 is going to be primary on that. Okay. What's the? And do you have a middle initial, Phil? Okay. And then what's your date of birth? And then you live here too as well? Yeah. Okay. And what's the? Okay. Just like my captain was saying, we're gonna try to figure out you guys a place where you guys can go, be warm, because it's too cold out here.
I think we're gonna stay with everyone's house.
What's the topic, Maven? It's just let's talk a little true crime.
We'll do what we can, okay? I'm gonna. By the grove. We can take you guys there. Oh, and if you want to drive, it's up to you guys. Well, I guess if you want to drive that way. Get this car coming through. Hey Jay, sorry to bug you. We have a quadruple homicide on campus. Can you come in and start man the street? Yeah, and if you don't mind trying to get a hold of, I got calls out to Casey and Nate, but I didn't get an answer. If you don't mind trying to get a hold of them too, I'd be appreciative. All right. Thanks, Jay. All right, bye.
See, that's really weird. He says it's on campus, but we've all heard from day one that it was an off-campus home. So, is it on campus or is it off campus? Because I mean, even the college distance itself from the homicides, saying it was an off-campus home, but you have an officer here stating that it was on campus. So which is it? Is it on campus or is it off campus?
It sure did. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why they were.
He just said, I don't know why they were.
Thanks, dude. Hey, can you text me a number? I need to get a hold of Casey. Yeah, thank you. All right, bye. Jesus. Something. Yeah, this is a. Oddest thing.
How is it an oddest thing?
Hey, this is Shane from the police department.
Oh, hi.
Hey, would you be able to wake Casey up and send him to work,
Let me
or just have him give me a call when you get him up?
register.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go wake him up right now and have him give me a call.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Whew. Yeah. Everybody else was sitting there. And then Casey and Jay are on their way in to help man the street. Something else. Yeah. Super.
Please head over and thank Christy's Chaos for this video. It just don't make no sense to me. This entire case just don't make no sense to me. In reality, it is off campus. Sorry, getting glasses, but we've been told from day one, guys. We've been told from day one this was an off-campus home. It was an off-campus home. It was, but yet at the same time, it was an iconic home. It was a sorority house, and before that, it was a possible fraternity house. But why would you say I have a quadruple homicide in an on-campus house? It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, everything. Hey, Amy Conway, how you doing? Everything in this case just makes my head spin. We were lied to from day one in this case. We were lied to about a rug connection to the home, which later came out in Dylan's fifth or sixth police interview that Xana and Ethan were doing Adderall, and Kaylee did Adderall, but just not all the time. And at the same time, you had Katie, which is Kaylee's cousin, come out saying that Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan were used cocaine. Hey, Skull Machai. I mean, you have so many different parallels going on in this case. It's not even funny. But yet they have tunnel vision that from the day one they have tunnel vision towards Brian. Exactly, Skullmachai. I judge them extra hard for abusing Adderall. People that really needed are going without. There's a shortage. It's sad. Yes, thank you, Skullmachai. There are a lot of parallels to the case. Yeah, for day one, they've had tunnel. They were following or keeping tabs on multiple different people in this case, and Jack S was one of them because he lived not that far away from the King Road home. He lived in the Queen Road apartments, but then everything shifted to Brian. Which is an oddity of its own. If you have multiple suspects that you're pursuing, yes, very true, Skullmachai. Very true. You have two roommates. One of them is on the bottom floor, and she says that she saw a flash and thought it was a firecracker. I don't think it was a firecracker. I think it was what she saw was a muzzle flash. And then you have Dylan claiming that she didn't see nothing, but she's saying in that initial body cam with Nunez pulling up, telling Jack that she saw this and saw that, and then telling Officer Nunez that she saw Kaylee dancing, and then Kaylee ran upstairs. And then she says, "Oh well, yeah, I opened my door 3 times that night." Really? You're telling Officer Nunez that you saw Kaylee dancing, and then she ran upstairs and screamed that there's a man here. Yeah. Sure, Anna, go ahead. Hey, what's up? Yeah, Nisha. Yeah, I agree with you, Skullmachai. Yeah, that's a very good possibility, Skull. Yeah, and the picture we get of Murphy is he's cowering under that desk. But yet they claim, yes, exactly, Skull. And they still didn't call the cops. That makes no sense. She made it sound like there's 3 other events that happened throughout the night, and she still didn't know what she imagined. I mean, it's a possibility. There's a lot of parallels in this case. Yes, I know, Anna. It's only a thought. Yes, absolutely, in my opinion. Hey, Jane. Hey, Jane Kendall. How you doing? Yes, that is a very good possibility. Murphy may be the only eyewitness. That's a very good possibility. Exactly, and yeah, I'm the same way. I don't like to speculate or anything. I just go up with the documents. But I just had to say that. In my opinion, roommates were told by a cop or cops to call it in as unconscious. It covers their ass for report death and deaths. Yeah, basically. Oh, I'm doing okay, Jane. Yes, exactly, Amy. In my opinion, the only person who's protective of Murphy is Jack D. Yes. Didn't he? Didn't Jack go down and get Murphy out of the pound or something? Yes, they were told. Call unconscious. If you call for an unconscious person, well, that's code for no sirens out here in LA. Or there was just no EMS needed. Yep, that's a good possibility, Skull. Love my wife to death, but I swear she sounds like Rasputia when she's snoring. Okay, let's look at some docs. Yeah, I'm looking for something, guys. And isn't it ironic that the Mad Greek is now closed down? Yeah, Mad Greek's now gone. You're welcome, Skull. Jane. Let's see here, guys. Here we go.
Nobody's allowed to leave for now. Okay. Just stay here for me, please. Do you know the? Okay. Here, can you guys go over to the dumpster for me, please? Okay, let's clear it. Thanks for. What's over here? Okay. I'll just start down here. Police department. Police department.
Moscow Police Department, if you're in here, announce yourself. Moscow Police Department.
Clear here. Going up.
There.
Police department.
We're on third floor, coming up. We got another. Moscow Police Department.
Dude.
Clear?
We're clear. Let me just secure the outside first. So.
Go to the front door.
There's a back entry. I was going to start taping it all off.
Brian's taking the outside off.
Okay.
Where's the?
There's two right here.
Here's another case that's almost parallel to this case. The Tyler Robinson case. It's almost parallel to this case.
State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Good afternoon. Court is now in session. Calling case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Will the parties please enter their appearances?
Your Honor, Christopher Ballard and Chad Grunander on behalf of the state.
Your Honor, Kathy Nestor, Richard Novak, and Stacy Visser on behalf of Mr. Robinson.
Thank you. Welcome to both the prosecution and defense. Mr. Robinson, I understand, is appearing by WebEx. Mr. Robinson, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you all. We're here on the Tyler James.
Yeah, he's a
Robinson
lot nicer than
motion to
Hitler.
appear in civilian clothing and without physical restraints at all pretrial hearings. Because of some of the arguments involved in court security protocols, the court held a closed hearing on October 24th, 2025. During that hearing, the parties addressed several related matters. The first, Mr. Robinson's motion to strike the sheriff's response. The second, Mr. Robinson's motion to appear in civilian clothing and without physical restraints. The third, the sheriff's and Mr. Robinson's request to limit or exclude visual recording and photography in the courtroom. And finally, the fourth matter, the state's request to have all non-evidentiary hearings held remotely. The parties have stipulated that the state's request to hold non-evidentiary hearings virtually, as well as the parties' joint request to limit electronic media coverage, both require further briefing. Those issues are not yet ready for the court's decision. To facilitate that briefing, the court directs as follows. If the state wishes to have all non-evidentiary hearings conducted via WebEx, it must file a separate motion. The court will not rely on prior briefing. The standard timelines for response and reply
I'll look into that, Skull.
apply, and the parties must file a request to submit and request a hearing if desired. If the parties seek to limit or restrict electronic media coverage, they may file a joint motion. Again, the court will not rely on prior briefing. That motion must address the factors set forth in Rule 4-401.01 sub 2 of the Utah Rules of Judicial Administration. Standard response and reply times apply, and the parties must file a request to submit once the matter is ripe for decision. The court took under advisement two issues: the motion to strike and the motion to appear in civilian clothing and without restraints. Court now issues its ruling. In regards to the motion to strike the sheriff's response, the prosecution and the sheriff's department filed a joint opposition to the defendant's motion to appear in civilian clothing and without restraints. Mr. Robinson moved to strike the sheriff's portion of that filing, arguing it was procedurally
Totally
improper
okay, Jane.
because the sheriff is not a party. At the hearing, all agreed that the sheriff's department is not a party in this case. The state and the sheriff's office nevertheless argued that the sheriff may file memoranda as a non-party. Mr. Robinson disagreed, but did not object to the court considering the sheriff's position on security. The court finds that the sheriff's department is not a party to this case, and therefore its joint filing with the prosecution was procedurally improper. Accordingly, defendant's motion to strike the sheriff's response is granted.
I like this judge way better than I liked Hypocrite.
However, under Rule 3-414 of the Utah Rules of Judicial Administration, the court is required to coordinate courtroom security with the sheriff's department. Consistent with that rule and with the defendant's agreement, the court has considered the substance of the state's opposition and the memorandum prepared by the court security director that was attached to it. Going forward, if either party has a security concern specific to this case, they may present evidence from the sheriff's department by affidavit, declaration, exhibit, or testimony. This order does not limit the sheriff's department's ability to coordinate with the court or otherwise act as authorized by law. Turning to the motion to appear in civilian clothing and without physical restraints. The parties agree that during trial, a defendant has a right to appear in civilian clothing that any restraints must be concealed from the jury. Mr. Robinson now seeks to extend those rights to all pretrial proceedings. The court considered each request separately. In relation to request to appear in civilian clothing, Mr. Robinson asks to appear in civilian clothing at all pretrial hearings. He argues that the extensive media coverage of this case creates a real risk of prejudice if the public and potential jurors repeatedly see him in jail attire. The state, the sheriff's department, and the court security director opposed the request.
Thank you, Skull.
Arguing that jail clothing assists with safety and identification. The court has balanced these competing concerns. The case has attracted extraordinary public and media attention. Images of Mr. Robinson in jail clothing are likely to circulate widely and influence prospective jurors. Given the scale of that publicity, the risk of prejudice is significant. However, Mr. Robinson's, let me see here. As previously stated, Mr. Robinson sits before this court presumed innocent, and that presumption remains unless and until each element of every offense charged against him is proved beyond a reasonable doubt. To date, this has not occurred, and the presumption of innocence remains. Balancing these factors, the court finds that Mr. Robinson's right to the presumption of innocence outweighs the minimal inconvenience of permitting civilian attire, and Mr. Robinson shall be dressed as one who is presumed innocent. Accordingly, the defendant's request to appear in civilian clothing for all pretrial proceedings is granted. Defense counsel is directed to coordinate with the jail to ensure that this order is implemented, and the court further orders that if the clothing be provided 72 hours prior to any hearing. To the second request to appear without physical restraints, Mr. Robinson also requests to appear unrestrained during pretrial proceedings. He argues that visible restraints would prejudice potential jurors, undermine his dignity, and interfere with his ability to communicate with counsel. Rule 3-14 sub 9C of the Utah Rules of Judicial Administration requires that all in custody defendants be restrained unless otherwise ordered by the court. The court recognizes that Mr. Robinson has no criminal history and no record of misconduct while in custody. However, the charges he faces are extraordinarily serious, carrying potential penalties of life imprisonment or death. The safety of Mr. Robinson, the attorneys, court staff, and the public must remain the court's highest priority. The emotional nature of these proceedings also raise the risk of disruption. Given these factors, the defendant's request to appear without restraint is denied. The court directs the Sheriff's Department to conduct an individualized assessment and use the least restrictive restraints necessary to maintain safety. If those restraints impede the defendant's ability to communicate with counsel or take notes, counsel may renew the motion. I wish now to also address the decorum and media restrictions. To mitigate any potential prejudice, the court will amend its standing decorum order. The media will be prohibited from photographing or visually recording Mr. Robinson's restraints and from photographing or recording him while entering, exiting, or standing in the courtroom. In making this amendment, the court has considered the factors in Rule 4-401.01 sub 2.
That sounds like a gag order to me.
This is a high-profile case with strong public interest. Restricting the recording of restraints strikes the proper balance between Mr. Robinson's right to a fair proceeding and the public's right to access and transparency. In conclusion, the court orders as follows. Defendant's motion to strike the sheriff's response is granted. Defendant's motion to appear in civilian clothing is granted. Defendant's motion to appear without restraints is denied. The standing decorum order will be amended to prohibit any visual recording or photography of the defendant's restraints or of the defendant entering or exiting the courtroom. This constitutes the order of the court, and a written order and ruling will be published shortly. Both defense and prosecution have stipulated to vacate the October 30th hearing. Additional time is needed to complete discovery and to file motions addressing whether non-evidentiary hearings should be conducted.
Exactly, Skull. Yeah, he was allowed to do that in Latah County. Judge didn't have no problems with that at all. The victims' families did have a problem with Brian appearing in street clothes and rather than a jumpsuit. And when they got to Ada County, the same thing. He was allowed to appear in his street clothes when he was there for the hearings. But at the same time, you have the victims' families throwing a fit about it as well. They're in Ada County. But as soon as he took the plea deal, which I don't know why he did that, the judge immediately revoked his right to appear in street clothes. Said that he would appear in the orange jumpsuit.
Virtually, whether to impose any blanket restrictions on cameras in the courtroom and any other motions that may arise. This matter is set to return before the court on January 16th, 2026 at 1 p.m. and again on January 30th, 2026 at 1 p.m. Both hearings will be heard and held in person with Mr. Robinson present to address these issues. And that concludes the order of this court. Counsel, thank you for being here. Mr. Robinson, we'll see you on January 16th and January 30th at 1 p.m. Court is now in recess.
Okay, so we have two different types of judges here. We have Judge Hypocrite, and then we have this judge right here. Where do it's two different judges. One's in Utah, one's in Idaho. But it feels like to me that this judge that's overseeing the Tyler Robinson case is a hell of a lot better judge than the one that oversaw the Brian Kohberger case. Yeah, and I agree, Skolmachai. I recall Hippler did mention that if Frank Koper goes through the penalized, or it goes through the guilt base, that he would probably be in a dub suit, the Bannon mistaken, and then he pled guilty. Yeah, I've always heard the phrase two-tier level of justice. Hey, Sky Blue, and I honestly feel that in this judicial system we have now, we do have a two-tier level of justice. In Idaho, we have Judge Hypocrite, who was basically a prosecution pawn. And in Utah, we have this judge right here who seems very unbiased. Where Judge Hippler was not unbiased at all. Okay, it's called jumpsuit, sorry. So exactly what, and I want to hear this from the chat. What type of justice system do we have here in the United States? I believe it's a two-tier level of justice. Because you have a lot of you do have a lot of parallels going on. between the Brian Koberger case and the Tyler Robinson case. Tyler Robinson is a very unique and different case because he was basically ratted out by his girlfriend or lover, is what you want to call it. Yeah, that's so much. I love that hypocrite. Yep. Yes, it is Sky Blue. It's a very unbalanced justice system. Now here's something to think about. 130 years ago, when the Lizzie Borden axe murders happened, she was arrested, tried, and acquitted. But the murders of her parents, or her dad and her stepmom, is still unsolved, even though she was arrested, tried, and acquitted. Yeah, we do. We're starting to see that a lot. Private owned prisons. I believe that the Supreme Court chose him. Did they do a good job of choosing him? No, they did not. But as soon as Judge approved that change of venue and sent his retirement letter to the Supreme Court, this case got dropped in hypocrite's lap, and he didn't even want the case because of that statement he made from the beginning. I would say it's nice to meet you, but I wouldn't want to tell a half truth. Because if you look at the Lizzie Borden case, yes, exactly, Skulmachai. If you look at the Lizzie Borden case, the cops 130 years ago fumbled that investigation. Yes, she was arrested. She was tried for the murders of her dad and her stepmom, but she was acquitted. And they labeled the case as unsolved. How could it be unsolved if somebody was arrested, tried, but acquitted? Yes, exactly, Anna. He didn't want to be the judge for this case. He should have taken himself off of it, or AT could have asked for him to remove himself. I think that would have drugged this case out as well, even more. I don't think there was very many judges in Idaho that wanted to take this case. Yes, that's true, Amy. You could only report Hitler to the Idaho Supreme Court. It doesn't mean, if you report him, it doesn't mean he would be taken off the case. Fingers crossed. Yeah, you are so correct there, Sky Blue. Hitler is so biased, he didn't even try to hide it. That's correct. He didn't try to hide it. Especially on some of the motions where he stated, well, your client shouldn't have left his DNA at the crime scene. Yes, yeah, Judge Boyce is Yeah, he would be a good judge. Are you talking about Judge Boyce in Utah, Sky Blue? Oh, what that is, with StreamYard, you can set up you can set up a normal live or a vertical live, where you're showing on regular YouTube, but it's also live streaming to the Shorts menu. Yes, Amy. Comments made by Hitler are unethical. I mean, especially when he stated that you've had your 15 minutes of fame, and I find no redeeming qualities in you. You're good, Skull. Yeah, yes, Amy. Supreme Court would handle anything with Hitler, Board of Judges, etc. Yeah, you're correct there, Amy. Yeah, I agree with her too, Anna. Yes, yes, you are correct, Foxy. Not only unethical, but downright rude to the victims' families. Personally, I don't. I feel that he really didn't care about anything. He really didn't want this in his courtroom. But yet, at the same time, he sided with the families for the price of the urns. He told Brian that he has to pay for the urns. Yeah, let's. You're good, Anna. Here, let's look at that document. Here we go. Oh, you're a good, Skull. Pursuant to state's September 22nd, 2025, request for restitution in favor of Steve and Christy Gonzalez of Rathdown, Ohio. The judgment is hereby entered against the defendant and in favor of Steve and or Christy Gonzalez in the amount of $1,420 payable through the Ada County Court Clerk's Office with interest thereon. The judgment rate of 9.125% annuum from the date hereof until paid in full, and for such further costs of distribution that may hereafter accrue over time. So Judge Hippler sided with the families that they will get their money for the earns. Oh, exactly. I mean, exactly. How can a judge accept a plea with no evidence pointing to the defendant points to others, unethical, unexperienced, angry man? Yes, Anna. The state submitted the claim late. They should have sent it before the due date, not after. The judge is wrong. The state broke the contract. If you look at what that hearing, the restitution hearing, the judge accused the defense of a violation of the plea agreement, because he thought that it was. I guess he thought it was rushed. But he said, "Well, if he can't pay, then why would you accept this plea agreement?" So I was kind of hoping he'd toss this plea deal out, and we actually have a trial. Yes, Amy, I agree with you there. Correct. This case, in my opinion, is an appeal attorney's dream. See, that's what I don't understand with Judge Hippler, hypocrite, whatever the hell you want to call him. I don't agree with him at all. Just like, I think that this judge in the Tyler Robinson case is going to be a way better judge than Judge and Stephen Hippler. You've had problems with judges ever since the dawn of time. You've had good judges. You've had crooked judges. I think Stephen Hippler's a crooked judge. This judge in Utah, Judge Boyce, I think he's going to be a really good judge in this case. Yes, you're right, Sky Blue. There are good old boys bullying and being condescending pricks. I don't, and you guys know I don't like Hippler, and I don't like Thompson. Yeah, I know. They are using the first degree B and E felony for intent motive to get man one in Idaho. Yeah, I know. You have corruption at every level of the justice system. You do. You have corruption in Idaho, at the state level. You have corruption. It goes all the way up to federal. This corruption does. Yeah, appeal attorney dream with a whipped cream and a cherry. Yeah. Oh yeah, Amy Conway. Yeah. Hey, James Moen, how you doing? Good to see you too, James. Yes, Sky Blue, they do get away with it. Don't ask me why they get away with it, but they do get away with it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Dago's got me coming full circle now. Now I'm thinking, as once before, for a long time too, that Brian Koberger might be in a. Yep. Let's get Bill Thompson on the phone. Exactly. I mean, exactly. No evidence that points to BK. It points to others. I mean, it's this entire case is very, very frustrating. And it's a total. I always said before, he put guilty that he was innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. But just because he played guilty doesn't mean he's factually guilty in my eyes. Yes, and I know. Unfortunately, my attraction for him has clouded my mind's judgment. I can't believe this. Oh, it's okay, Foxy. I mean, you've had basically, guys. it starts, the judicial system starts with the crap from the 1800s. Look at Jack the Ripper. He was never caught. And there's been multiple suspects for Jack the Ripper. Look at Lizzie Borden. Her case, her parents' case had been ruled as unsolved, even though she was arrested, tried, but then acquitted. Yeah, Amy, I know you're not Team Jack D. But it's the piles and piles of corruption, not just in the Brian Koberger case, guys. It goes from the Brian Koberger case to the Karen Reed case to the Delphi case. It's basically corruption all across the country. I hate to say it, but it's true. It's not just the Idaho case with its corruption. Yes, exactly, James. Yeah. Money equals power equals green equals 2 of the 6 roommates were still in university clubs. Yes. The 2 that lived, yes, I know. Yeah, Anna. Richard Allen was tried in the dark because Judge Gall wouldn't let nobody, no media at all in the courtroom. So he was tried in the dark and he was sentenced in the dark. Yeah, it's the whole country, Foxy. The whole country. Yeah, all day, every day, across the entire country. I know, Anna. They should have been at least tried with, obstruction of justice. That's the word I'm looking for. They should have at least been charged with obstruction of justice for failing to call 911 for 8 hours. And I believe the obstruction of justice charge carries a year in prison. I'm sure my brother AR would know that if he's still watching. Yeah, yes, James Moen. Like A.R. Hayes says, Hitler, aka Gargamel, pretty much argued the prosecution's case for them. Yes, you are totally right. Hitler did argue the case for the prosecution, especially during the restitution hearing. The restitution hearing, you had Judge Hitler basically arguing everything for the prosecution, and you have Judge Santa Bill Thompson sitting there, not saying a word except for, "I have no other thing to say, Your Honor." Yes, Amy, you're right. Not his job. He is unethical. No experience bias as a POS. Yes, you are right, Amy. But yet, we have judges like Stephen Hypocrite all across the country. We have good judges and we have bad judges. And it's a coin flip on what type of judge we get for each specific case that we cover. We could get someone like Judge Boyce in Utah. We could get somebody like Judge Hypocrite there in Idaho. We could get somebody like Judge Gall in Indiana. Yes, it's criminal, Amy. Yeah, it is criminal, but at the same time, it's a coin toss on what type of judge we get. We could get a good judge or we could get a bad judge. It's a flip of the coin. I totally agree with you, Amy. It is criminal what goes on in the judicial system. But a lot of these judges are appointed by presidents, presidents of the United States. We have some appointed by Reagan. We have some appointed by George Bush Sr., by George Bush Jr., by Bill Clinton, by Barack Obama, by Donald Trump, by Joe Biden. And I'm talking about the federal judges there, not the state judges. But with a lot of state judges, they do run elections, and people vote for these judges. So with a freaking Stephen Hypocrite, yes, Sky Blue, he did testify to that. We live in the judicial system here in the United States. We live in a very corrupt system. It doesn't. We could have got we could have got somebody worse than Hitler, or somebody worse than Judge. It doesn't matter exactly what type of judge we get, because it's a toss of a coin. We could get say in Utah there's somebody like Judge Hitler. We could have got him instead of Judge Boyce, or say in Indiana, we could have got someone like Boyce instead of someone like Gall. These judges are elected. Are some good? Yes. Are some bad? Extremely bad. I know, James. I know. let's call the FBI. I mean, even FBI agents are hired. They were once private citizens who go through the training course and they're hired. All I'm saying, guys, is there's one bad. There's not just one bad judge in the batch. There's a handful of bad judges. With what happened there in Idaho, there was we just got one bad judge. With what's going on in Utah with Tyler Robinson, he got a good judge. It's basically, guys, whatever judge that we get, and when we cover true crime cases, it's a toss of the coin. We don't know what type of judge that we're going to get. And that's just real talk. Yes, I know, Sky Blue. Judge Gall was a piece of work. But that's who was picked. Could Richard Allen got a better judge? Yes. But Judge Gall is the one that was chosen. Do I like it? No, I don't like it. But it comes down to the judge selection comes down to choices on which judge is going to cover which case. In the Indiana case, it just happened to be Judge Gall. In the Idaho case, it just happened to be first judge, and then Judge Hippler. In the Utah case with Tyler Robinson, it was Judge Boyce. Yeah, James, I know. 50 million annually people in and around Moscow donate to the university. The town is on the map only because the university does as it pleases. Yeah, and I agree with you there. Was I happy the day that Judge Hippler was revealed? No, I wasn't. Because I knew he was going to be pro-prosecution. That's unethical. But at the same time, there was nothing that we could do about it. Yes, James, I know it is sad to be in this situation on this case, but Stephen Hippler was a civil judge, but he was still a judge, and he was still picked. Was he picked out of random? Or was he picked by the Supreme Court of Idaho? He was picked by the Supreme Court of Idaho, who dropped this case in his lap. You're welcome, James. Yes, the land does have sketchy history, but the state of Idaho picked Stephen Hippler. Even a lot of us didn't like him, but I don't know, James. But with him being picked, even though a lot of us didn't like him, it was still the state of Idaho's choice to pick this judge, just like in Utah, just like in Indiana. And I do appreciate, James, you saying that. Yeah, I want truth like everybody else. I really do. I want truth. Yes, James. It's crazy with so many inconsistencies. Yes, I totally agree with you on that. Yeah, I'm a truth seeker. Yeah, I want to know exactly what went on in not just the Idaho 4 case, but other cases I cover. Yeah, Sky Blue, I know. Hitler looks creepy. But so did Judge Gall. Yeah, it is good to have an open mind. Because if you didn't have an open mind, you would be a guilter, which I'm not. Yeah, every case I look at, it doesn't matter whether it's the Idaho case or if it's the Tyler Robinson case, whatever case I decide to look at, I go in with an open mind and I want to find the truth of what's going on. You're welcome, James. Yes, and I agree with you there. This guessing game is not how it should go. Everything just makes it more complex the more that comes out. And I agree with you there. Yeah, I know, Foxy, I know. Yeah, that's okay. The way I look at it, this is the way I look at it. Whatever true crime case you go into, you always have to expect that you're either going to get a good judge like Judge Boyce in Utah, or you're going to get a bad judge, like in the state of Idaho or the state of Indiana. James, your guess is as good as mine. But personally, I don't think they should be suing the state of Idaho. I think they should be suing the Moscow, Idaho, not WSU. Yeah, a judge is so crucial to a case, and that's what I'm been trying to relay is the judges that we get in the cases that we cover. It's a toss up. We don't know what judge we're going to get. If it's a nice judge, if it's a bad judge, if it's a crooked judge, if it's an unethical judge, we don't know. That's why I try to go into the cases I cover with an open mind. Because there's going to be other cases that I look at, that I follow, besides the Idaho case. I'm thinking about starting to look at the Tyler Robinson case, or the Rex Heuermann case. It just depends. Yes, it is important, James. It just depends on what case I cover. Thank you, Amy. What case, like, I want to look at the, like I said before, the Tyler Robinson case. And then the Rex Heuermann case, or whatever case comes after the Idaho 4. Will I be still touching on the Idaho 4 here and there, but not as much. I want to focus on on other cases. I want to go into other cases with the same open mind that you guys like and that you guys love about me. Well, Sky Blue, it's the Charlie Kirk case is almost like what the case that we've been covering for the last 3 years. Okay, Fox. Okay, Foxy. Okay. Oh yeah, I know, Amy. I know. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been looking into that. But yeah, the Rex Heuermann case. I mean, I don't even believe it's went to trial yet. I mean, it's been ongoing for roughly about the same amount of time as the Idaho case. Yeah, and that's one case I'd like to look into is the Rex Heuermann case. Oh, you agree with me, Amy? I mean, yeah, in the content I'm going to be putting out, you may see smattering of Idaho 4, but not as much as I have been doing. You might see some new cases I'm going to be going into with an open mind. It's still going to be the same channel. Yeah, I agree, James. It's still going to be the same channel. is just going to be having. Thank you, Amy. It's still going to. It's just going to have some new cases on it. There's still going to be some Idaho case, some of the Idaho case on my channel, but I'm just going to have some newer cases as well on my channel, and I hope that you guys will still interact, the way with me the way I was on the Idaho case. But you can only go so far with just a one case channel. You need to. Thank you, James. Yeah, you need to move your channel forward for other true crime cases, not just one. And I hopes that my brother AR is still listening. I would love to work with him on some of the newer cases that I'm going to be starting to follow. Would you like to come up and we can talk something different than the Idaho case? I'd love to hear your input on the about the judges that I've been talking about for the past few minutes. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the judicial system. The link should be pinned at the top. Okay. I know, James. He is an exceptional person. Yeah, I know, Anna. I know. Yes, they're all amazing. AR is amazing. Jen's amazing. Hey, brother.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, they're all amazing. AR is amazing. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that. I thought I'd
It's okay.
jump up real quick with you here. I got my hands deep with snoring dogs, and I'm trying to, as you know, when you're putting together a series, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not just doing an actual video. I'm doing like a full documentary on my Killers series, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. So, what are some of your thoughts on the judicial system that I was talking about the judges being, picked, and us as true crime content creators not knowing exactly what type of judge we're going to be getting when we first get involved in the case?
Well, a perspective that I know I can give, and I know you yourself can give, is more so as a defendant. When you're walking into a case, you hope for the best, but typically, I mean, it's a flip of the coin, rolling the dice. You never know what you're going to get. And when we look at what's happening in today's society with the judges, it almost seems as though they've taken it upon themselves to grant themselves as much power as possible in these cases. I mean, we saw it with Judge Gold in Delphi. We're seeing it now, with the Idaho 4 as that's played out. It's very rare that you see a judge like the gentleman that's doing the case out of Utah, to where he adamantly makes a statement. His voice should not be heard unless it's necessary to be heard, as he weeds through the actual, the law to dictate a rule upon the motions that are presented to him. And in the other cases that we've watched, and it's happening far too often, these judges are overstepping their boundaries. And as you and I both know, as a defendant, that's the worst that could possibly happen for us. At that point, typically, it just puts an end to our case.
Yeah. Because we could get a nice judge, like Judge Boyce there in Utah, or we could get a complete asshole like Judge Hippler in Idaho, and don't forget Judge Gall in Indiana. It just we don't know exactly what type of judge we're going to get. It's like you said, it's a toss of the coin.
Yeah, it's difficult because you have these differences in judges. You have judges like Hippler that come out that state clearly they don't want to rewrite case law, so the majority of their decisions on motions are going to be very basic, very generic, but then he's the type that's going to be very prosecutorial friendly and also potentially helping the prosecution. Then you've got someone like Judge Gold that's completely content just overturning and closing all doors in the public spaces on a case, and then ruling and dictating as if they will rewrite case law. They'll do whatever it takes to change it. And those two are so far different from each other, but at the end result, it completely screws the defendant. But then you get that third option, like the gentleman that we see in Utah, that's willing to look at the law, but he's also creative. He's willing to take into account what both sides are saying, listen out completely to what's being said before ruling. And he's not there to pick apart the defense or pick apart the prosecution. He's there to listen. He goes back and he refers to his case laws. And if a judgment needs to be made that's a little bit outside of those case laws, then he's willing to take a little bit of a step outside, think individually, make a ruling, and then, he'll move forward from there and allow the higher courts, if something's necessary to be changed at that point, they can. But he's going to let it roll in a fair and true way. And that's rare. That's very rare to see. We do have good judges in our country. Trust me.
Yes.
I've had a few myself. And we do see them occasionally where they do rule fairly. Unfortunately, we have some very difficult ones as well. And I think one of the hardest things to do is when we discuss something like the Idaho 4 case, you have such a split in how people feel, whether he's guilty, not guilty, here out in the public. It's hard to put pressure on the justice system in that way because there's not enough unity to come in and make a change.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you on that. Like in my court experiences, I had one judge that was very, treated me very fairly, and then I had another judge that basically acted like Hippler. Yeah, so it was like the yin and yang. It's like, I'll get it out. When I went through my court stuff, I had one that was fair and I had one that wasn't. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it both ways as well, and it's extremely difficult. When I went into one of my largest cases of all time, the one that made me literally the most nervous, and I thought for sure at the end of the day I was getting a life sentence. I didn't think there was any way around it. I thought for sure I was done in, and then to come to find out my judge's family members and some of the people directly involved with the judge were affected by my crime. So it was even worse, and he would not recuse himself from the case. We did later get him removed from the case, but it took a long period of time, and there was already a lot of decisions and rulings made at that point that made it extremely stressful and difficult to move forward with the case. And I thought for sure I was going to have to take a plea bargain, and I didn't end up taking a plea bargain, even though I lost at the end of the day in the case. At least I got a lot of the charges knocked down, and I got the bigger charges reduced to much smaller charges. So I went from looking at life to, a handful of years, which was, a big deal to me. So,
yeah. James asked in chat, wasn't this Hitler's first death penalty case? And then Sky Blue said, yes, it was Hitler's first DP case. Like I was speaking earlier, when Judge retired and this case was dropped in Hitler's lap, it wasn't, it was done so by the Supreme Court. And I kind of wish that the same thing would happen to Judge Gall, that she wouldn't have got this case, because we would have saw a lot more transparency in that case. Instead of a complete media blackout. But a lot of times that the judges we get are we get good judges, we get bad judges, and we get corrupt judges. It's a toss of the hat exactly what we're going to get when we're going into these types of high profile cases. Personally, my feeling on Hitler, but at the same time, Judge Boyce there in Utah. I kind of wish that a judge like him would have been put on the Idaho case. But Judge Boyce, he seems to carry himself very well. He's very well spoken. He's very soft spoken. I've noticed that. But what are your thoughts on Judge Boyce?
So far, what I've seen, he's been pretty fair and pretty impartial, and I like that he keeps himself in place. He's not, in my opinion, looking for any type of notoriety or glamour in the light. He's just trying to get through a very difficult case, make the proper rulings, and get this young man through, the court system. We're going to see how that plays out, because it's going to be a difficult case. It's another one that's a little bit wild and different in the sense.
Yeah.
I don't think this. I just don't think that's a single perp crime either. But we're going to see. We're going to see how that plays out. One thing I do want to say, I do notice here, you got an amazing group of individuals in your chat tonight. I want to say hi to a couple of them. James Moen, it's great to see you, my friend. Bianca, it's always great to see you. And Sky Blue Eye, she's one of my favorites on my channel too. So you got some amazing people here. Amy Conway's in the house. I haven't seen a lot of her, meaning I haven't interacted a lot with her, but it's great to see her back and doing well. Robert, it's just so difficult because, in my mind, yeah, okay, so this is Judge Hitler's first case that he has tried as a death penalty. However, it's not the first case he's been involved with death penalty wise, because he was highly involved with the Chad Daybell case, and he should have learned. Yeah, he was in charge of pretty much all the financial decisions of that case. He was highly involved in that case. He just wasn't the judge of record on the case. So he should know through experience how these death penalty cases legitimately work. But you know, the bad thing about it is like he has gotten to be in a totally different mold than an actual sitting on the bench case hearing such a criminal. I mean, come on, this is well above his pay grade when it comes to case. This should have been, and this is something I've always spoken upon pretty hard, and I think it's something that our country needs to look at. When you get into these high level capital crimes like this that have such weight and such burden, this is not a one judge type of scenario. You need to have a panel that oversees this, that it's got to be, you know, a group decision on just about everything.
Oh, like a 3-judge panel?
Yeah. I mean, I want to say a minimum of 3, you know, and you present, you know, I don't know. It's just so difficult because then it's more taxpayer money and it's a lot of stuff on the line. But I think when you have somebody's life on the line, I mean, they deserve the full benefit of the doubt of how these things are worked out in our court system. I don't remember if Hitler attended the University of Idaho. He is from Idaho. I could look real fast for you just to get an idea, but I know Judge did,
and he's married to a professor there. So
no, and the thing is, so Hitler received his undergraduate degree from Boise State University there in Boise, so he is local. And then he went on to the University of Utah to further his education and get the higher level of education. But and I think that's another thing that's extremely difficult, and it happens in these smaller areas. You know, you get these homegrown attorneys and homegrown lawyers that they haven't spread their wings, they haven't left the area, and they become so familiar with the people and the area that it I don't know. It seems like to me there's just too much power involved in that. I don't like that very much. Too much friendliness, even for somebody, you know, like an Ann Taylor or a Massoff. If you're from the local area, well, you know, that it just seems too easy to. I don't know the right terminology of it, but you know, you get too comfortable within your settings, and you know, that could affect the way these cases play out. You know, and I'm one that speaks pretty highly that I think Ann Taylor threw in the towel when it comes to the Idaho 4 case. And, you know, I'm going to do some content at some point. I don't know when, but I do plan on doing
I mean, you heard me. Yeah, you heard me telling the chat that I'm going to be dabbling in some new cases, and yeah, because my entire page is nothing but Idaho 4. I mean, it's time to spread my wings.
I mean, it's always good to have a repertoire of things you're working on, and I know it's difficult because you know we as content creators, you know, we do survive by views and by various things that happen on our channels, you know, that bring in income. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it is the truth. So sometimes it's hard to just quickly get right off of a case to go, you know, do another one, because the views get difficult. Things, you know, don't always work out the way we want. But I'm doing the same thing. Like I'm really diving in. I'm going to be working on, you know, various projects that are bigger projects and bigger things. And I'm either going to have people that love it or I'm going to have people that don't. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, James asked you a question. Do they become biased? You think people who are local and attended the university?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They do. I mean, and you can see the ploy that was put out very quickly by the Gonzalez family when they say the outsider that came from outside of our local area. And that's a ploy. I mean, that's a way to get the local area to really team up against this kid that's not from the area. And it's a smart way of doing it. Don't get me wrong. It's smart, but it's unfair because at the end of the day, I mean, you're jumping down the throat of this kid that's not from there, and you're just stacking the deck against him. So even someone like an Ann Taylor or someone like that, who you wouldn't expect it because she's supposed to defend Bryan Kohberger, is probably going to be one of those ones that gets in there with Bill Thompson and Ashley Jennings, and she knows them from working with them directly on a day in, day out basis, and that's going to affect Bryan Kohberger, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm going to be putting some new content out tonight, and it's going to be like a smattering of the Tyler Robinson case, and I might even go as back as putting something out about freaking Lizzie Borden, because I mean, yes, the case is like 130 years old, but it's still deemed an unsolved case. Yeah, even though yes, she was arrested, yes, she was tried, but she was acquitted. I'm still trying to figure out exactly if you're arrested, tried, but acquitted, how that case is still an unsolved case.
It's a great question. I mean, it's just like the Alan Greenberg case, and I want to do some content on this. Imagine that case. You have a medical examiner who's in charge of what happened to the body to make a determination. Is this a homicide or is this, a suicide? And they come out immediately and state, well, this is a homicide. Then the scary factor of that is behind closed doors, after meeting with detectives and with law enforcement, that quickly changes to now it's no longer a homicide. Now it's actually deemed to be a suicide. Well, in my opinion, I'm sorry, I get something on my screen here that started making noise. In my opinion, that should never happen. We should never have a closed door that it influences at all what's being said by a medical examiner to determine the cause of death. So that's just my feeling. And these are the things that are scary. They're happening behind the doors, and we need to stop it.
Yeah, just like earlier on Dago's panel, I made the comment: "What's done in the darkness will be brought into the light," and which is true in these types of cases. We have a lot of stuff going on in the dark. Will it ever be brought to the light?
Well, the sad thing about it, and a lot of people don't understand. They're pushing, thinking that Bryan Kohberger's going home sometime soon in this case because of the things we're seeing now. The defense had all of that before he ever took the plea bargain. They were fighting, trying to get a Franks hearing, trying to get things thrown out. They lost every battle they had. So I understand that people think there's prosecutorial misconduct and all this stuff going on, and Bryan Kohberger's going home tomorrow. You and I both know that's not how the system works. If that was the case, it's a long process. And, I don't see him, even if something gets overturned, it's going to be years. And I myself have to focus on a lot of things outside of just talking about the Idaho 4 for the next 5 years. So, we'll see. But there's not even a motion for anything as of yet, and that would be the very start of it all. Is Brian Culver first needs to actually pick up legal representation that could fight that battle for him. He doesn't have that now. Massoth would probably be the closest thing to it. I mean, Ann Taylor's not in that realm. That's not her specialty. That's nothing that she's going to actually even take on, because we're not talking about a criminal defense anymore. Now we're talking about appellate and going up and above, to try to get this turned over based upon legality.
Supreme Court, basically.
What's that?
Supreme Court, basically.
Yeah, it's going to go to the federal Supreme Court if it ever does anything. And, the only federal attorney Brian had working with him was Massoth. And Massoth's not free, and she's not being paid by the state of Idaho anymore. She's just finalizing what she was already partaking in, which now it's getting close to coming to an end for the totality of the case for Brian Kohberger. Once everything's released out, and what's been unsealed is unsealed, and what's not going to be unsealed. And once that's done, it's done. And Brian Kohberger at that point would have to move forward and look to see if he could hire somebody that would investigate and look into what he's trying to accomplish. Then he would have to have the funds to do that. Then they would have to motion it to even see if at that point we could get it heard. And that's years. That's years upon years. And that's if they can get the money to even start it, because they're going to need more than just that one attorney. They're going to need a hell of a firm to come in and battle an entire state, not just Moscow. It would be the entire state.
Yeah, we got a new visitor, a real tea with Krista Marie.
Yeah, it's great to see her. It's always great to see Miss Marie there. Krista Marie. I should say it right. Krista Marie. Yeah, I thought Krista Marie, I thought, Robert had extended an invite for me to come up and join him. So obviously I'm a big supporter of Robert. So I thought, why not? Let's hop up here and we'll talk some straight garbage for a few minutes. And then
yeah, if she wants to join us as well, she can. The link is pinned at the top. But it just like the entire judicial system is like totally screwed up. It feels like to me, brother, like it's like a two-tiered level of justice in this country.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I stepped to the platform. I wanted to talk about a lot of these things so much, because I think bringing it to light is one important thing, but actually giving some basis behind it through experience is also important. And that's one thing I want to do is I want to open people's eyes. Like, let me tell you some real and true stories, and then you base how you feel based upon that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, brother. This entire judicial system needs to be brought to light somehow.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm trying to read a question here, Robert. Maybe you can help me. Truth and Justice, True Crime, I believe, asked something in regards to the Innocence Projects, and she wants more information. Can I give her more information? Yeah, absolutely, I can. If there's any way that you could shoot me an email, because it's very hard to do over like this. I mean, obviously. So if you can email me at convictsthoughts@gmail.com or email Robert and he can get in touch with me, I can get you some information in regards to that. Now, realize, number one, I do have to let it be very clear. Idaho does not have an Innocence Project any longer. It's been defunded. They don't have the financial capability. They're not working Idaho cases. So the only innocent project that could legitimately, if they chose to, and they have not, get involved in the Brian Kohberger case would be the actual Maine. And you can go to their website and you can inquire more information directly through them. through the Innocence Project. I'll be more than happy to give you the people I've spoken to with them that have been very gracious with their time and their expertise and their knowledge. But at this time, there's no longer an Idaho Innocence Project. There's no funding for it. They stepped in originally on the Brian Kohberger case back when it was in the courtrooms in Moscow, Idaho, Latah County. And Judge completely blocked them because it came down to the fact they were interested in DNA information. They wanted DNA evidence, and Judge blocked it across the board, which shut them down, and they have not been involved since. So I just, I want people to fully understand that if somebody comes out and says that, the Innocence Project is involved in the Brian Kohberger case, it's not. And they'll directly, once you reach out to the main Innocence Project and you have conversations with the individuals there that are in power, they'll definitely clarify to why and how.
Yeah, Realty with Krista Marie says, I was just asking that figures they would she said refund it and add DP, but then she said deep. So it says in refund, she meant to say defund it and add death penalty.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing about the Innocence Project is literally their financial funding comes from the support of people out in the community. They are not funded to investigate these types of cases or crimes or try to solve them. They are funded through the community that literally believes in innocent until proven guilty. And then also whatever type of, collectionary funding donations that they could collect. Let's just use Brian Kohberger's case as an example. People can go out and get information and get them donations. And then if they accept it, because you apply, there's a whole thing that you got to fill out and apply for. And if the funding is there for them to investigate and move forward, they definitely will. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Truth and Justice. I mean, in helping anybody and everybody in the concept of innocent until proven guilty, I will 100% stand beside you. I know Robert does as well, and I know many other creators will as well. So definitely reach out to Robert, and I'll get them some information, and I'll get you information of who I've spoken to and the direct people that you could be in contact with, and they can walk you more through their system and their process. So I don't know, Krista Marie, if New Jersey has one specific to itself. I would think so, because I know New York has a rather large entity. So I would think that New Jersey would be kind of housed within that, considering they're same area-ish. I know they're because they're not funded by the actual state or by the government itself, that they could legitimately probably work both areas. So I can find that out. I could find that out for you too, and find out too.
But yeah, just going through the stuff that I went through in court, it felt like I was supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but it just felt like I was guilty until proven innocent in the judicial system here where I'm from. Did I make some mistakes? Did I make some mistakes? Yes, I made some mistakes, and a lot of those mistakes are still haunting me to this day. I'm just happy that a lot of the felonies that I got was like 20 years ago, and that now they don't show up on the background check. Because when we got this new apartment, that's the first thing they did was check my criminal background. And I told them about the stuff that was on my record from like 2004, 2005. And they said, "Oh, you're okay. We only go back 7 years."
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty fortunate too. Real quick, Krista Marie. So the New Jersey Innocence Project works through the Rutgers Law School. So they advocate for the area, and they're actually directly connected to the Rutgers Law School. So you're able to reach out to them. Let me see if they have the New Jersey Innocence Project, and you can go directly underneath law.rutgers.edu. And then they'll have a whole section there that is under the New Jersey Innocence Project. So law.rutgers.edu. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I always just get to finding out as much information as quick as I possibly can.
Oh no, you're okay. You're okay, brother. It feels good not to talk about Idaho horror for a change, but
yeah. And the thing about it is, and I think people forget to really think uniquely outside the box about this. There is a Bryan Kohberger case happening right now in just about every state across the country.
Yep.
And it's just not being brought to the attention of things. So I get that the Idaho 4 case became so prominent to so many people and it got discussed so much, but we need to focus on the system itself and correcting what's happening within the system and the laws and the things of that nature before we just focus on one single individual, because this is an overall situation. I'm not saying Bryan Kohberger is not important, because he is. I think that, you know how my wife is really good at this too, and saying this appropriately. A lot of people came out with the terminology Black Lives Matter. My wife shakes her head and says, no, all lives matter.
Yeah.
When it comes to a system, it's innocent until proven guilty, and it damn well doesn't matter who you are. Everybody deserves that. And Krista Marie, that's one thing that I'm trying to say. So leveling with people, and I know a lot of people don't like, I've actually lost viewers of my channel and subscribers because they feel like I've turned my back on Bryan or whatever it might be. This is so much bigger than just Bryan Kohberger, and the reason why we're feeling like we're not getting anywhere is we're not changing anything. Nothing's being changed. We can sit here and we can discuss Bryan and the case as much as we want. We can go through each and every single interview. We can tear all this apart. You have to understand, the defense had a full team of people doing exactly that for years before Bryan Kohberger took the plea bargain. For years. Something has to change more than the discussion of why we think Bryan Kohberger's innocent. Or, and I'm not even saying that my point's that Bryan Kohberger's innocent. I don't know. I think the system as a whole has issues. The investigation was shoddy. The techniques used, even though maybe they're groundbreaking and they could make a difference in the future, they're not ready now. I'm talking about IGG. They broke people's privacy. They broke rights. They backdoored stuff. Then they continuously lied about it. And they're still lying about it. They're protecting people because they're college kids and they don't feel like they can handle what's called a real interrogation and questioning. So that's why so many people are so bothered by it. But we're not making a difference until a difference is actually made. And I'm with you, Krista Marie. I'm about ready to actually tell Robert I got to jump for a bit too. I still have to edit this thing, Robert, and then try to get some work done myself, before it turns 3 o'clock in the morning. I know you probably got stuff you had to do today, Robert, and probably worked and did a lot of stuff too. But and that it's an important conversation to have, and we definitely need to have it continuously. How do we improve what we're seeing that's failing so badly?
Yeah.
That, I can't just continuously get on here and start tearing apart these interviews that are out on video. And this comes across the wrong way. They don't mean much to me. I'm not an investigator. I can't utilize those interviews to make any difference in what happened to Brian Coburn. But what I can do is stand up and preach that laws need to be changed in regards to IGG. We need more protection for people's rights. We need more funding for the Innocence Project so that they have more capability to jump in and fight things like this. There's a lot out there that can make such a difference. And
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, brother. We need to start making a difference when it comes to this judicial system. If we don't, then it's going to be irrevocably broke, for the rest of our lives. I hate to say this, but it starts with us here. I mean, if there's going to be nobody that cares about the judicial system, then by God, we care about what goes on in this judicial system. Am I right or am I wrong?
You are. And my wife, to kind of echo what you're saying, she said it perfectly the other day when I was kind of just looking at her saying, hey, there's just not really all that much I can do. She says, well, AR, you have approximately 13,000 subscribers, right? I said, yeah. You get about 4,000 to 5,000 views randomly on different shows that you do. Yeah. She says, how many people do you think those 4,000 or 5,000 people talk to in a day span? I said, I don't know. If I'm able to reach 4,000 or 5,000 through a video, they potentially could talk to people too. And she says, that's how the wildfire spreads. If you want to make a difference, you get those people that listen to you convinced enough they speak to others to convince them to speak to others. And before you know it, you've made a difference. And that's the truth. That is very, very true. Because when you put together people like a Dago, like myself, like you, like these other creators that are continuously working each and every single day, we can reach a lot of people's ears. And if we can touch enough of their brains and their hearts, we can make a difference.
Yeah. I mean, it all falls in our lap. I mean, if the people outside of YouTube ain't going to be trying to fix this, then it's up to us, to try to fix this broken judicial system. And maybe, just maybe, one of our videos actually reaches somebody and it starts that wildfire.
Well, I've reached a few. I pissed them off pretty good a couple of times. Yeah. I've gotten some really nice feedback from higher places that have said how big of a douchebag I am for letting the beans out of the bag, but it is what it is.
Yeah, man, I've gotten a couple myself too.
Well, I've had lawyers reach out to me. I've had legal teams reach out to me that I'm breaking this or breaking that, but you know what? I just tell the truth. And if they can't handle that and then go have to defend themselves to the truth, there's nothing I can do about it, because you can't come after me for telling the truth. The only way you can get me on something is if I lie about something. And I'm not putting out negative information about anybody. I'm not attacking anybody personally. I'm not making funny videos attacking anybody. I'm not doing any of that. I'm breaking down the truth. And if somebody says something incorrect, especially when it comes to the system or to how prisons are ran, I have no problem coming out and correcting that. And I do it in a correct way, in the truthful way. So, it is what it is. But Robert, I am going to wrap this up with you, my friend, and I do want to say thank you to everybody in the chat that's been kind and hearing us out.
Yeah, I'd love to set something up with you at a later date, and where we can touch more on the judicial system and other stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do something, I don't know what your schedule on Thursday is. We could set up. What is today anyway?
Tuesday.
Yeah, set something. If you want to do something Thursday, we can do something Thursday afternoon, evening-ish. Evening-ish would probably be better, and we'll put on a show in regards to. Let's do a breakdown. Let's analyze. So we'll go through current cases of the last few years, dissecting the judges' decisions in the cases and how they handled their courtrooms based off of what was presented to them that they had to make a decision on. Like in Idaho, it would be the IGG was a big conversation. Then we can move over to the Delphi case and discuss what Judge Gold's situation was and why she made the ruling she did, even removing the defendant's counsel off of the team, which you're not allowed to do. And then we can go through like the Karen Reed judge and the various judges that are out there and kind of dissect what's been good, what's bad. And that way people get a better sort of what these judges in the system are really like.
Yeah, because it's very, and not only are these true crime cases interesting, the judges in the cases are also very interesting. And I'd love to take a look at just exactly how these judges operate in these cases.
Yeah, I think that would be a great live is we'll dissect, we'll go through various cases. I don't want to just focus on one case. I want to work our way through a handful to multi-handfuls of cases and just dissect. Here's the difference between what a real good judge does. Here's a bad judge. Here's a prosecutorial judge. And then we can just kind of jump through that. But we'll bring my community in with your community. We'll do it to where we can get a good crowd and we'll get some good conversation going as well.
Okay. I'm getting ready to end this live. Yeah. Let the community know what you have planned over the next few days as far as your series goes.
So I'm going to be putting out episode 1 of my Walking Amongst Killers series, which will be focusing in the Phoenix shooter case with Dale Hausner and Dietman. So I'm going to be breaking into that to where it's going to be a 3-part series. I'll get video 1 out on that. And then I also have a live coming up on Friday that's going to be with a community member that's going to be doing community questions. So she's going to take questions from the community and do an interview of me. That's just a no holds barred. I don't know in advance what the questions are going to be, and it's going to be an interview of me. So it should be pretty interesting of what they may come up with as questions for me. I think it's going to be more based on personal stuff and experiences of mine, not so much true crime, maybe true crime too. I don't know. And then obviously Sunday, Jen and I and the Pipples will be talking true crime, and we'll probably be venturing around the strip like we said. But then don't forget Thursday will be you and I dissecting the judicial system and the judges' interactions in cases.
Yeah, I hope I hope Jen doesn't want to kick me in the butt for helping get you over the goal.
No, I appreciate it. You definitely got people ramped up and got them excited. The thing about it too is so many people really like Jen and the dogs. And in the discussion with her, what's important to me is she is a major part of my channel. She is the one that rolled the dice on me and got me to change my life, just like your wife did with you and helped you turn your life and do good things in life. My wife has done the same. So I'm glad that the community really likes not only my wife, but your family as well. And that's important.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It took wife number 3 to do that.
Well, yeah, Jen's not my first wife either.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna be ending this live stream now, guys. I want to thank not only my brother AR for jumping up here. I know he's busy editing his new series. I want to thank Real Tea with Kristen Marie for coming in and subscribing. And I want to thank Foxy Rose, James Moen, Blue Sky for becoming a member. Yeah, this is an awesome community, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And I'm happy to have you guys a part of this channel. Everyone have a good night. And this is True Crime Unleashed and AR Hayes, and we're out. Peace.
Back where the lights don't lie, the wolves are watching in Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah, they said it's open and shut, case on ice, but the facts keep shifting under courtroom lights. Evidence tagged, locked in a sheet, but the truth cuts deeper. It's a double-edged sword beneath. Cameras roll, opinions fly, truth's in the dirt, but it won't die. Every headline's got a twist or two. Four souls whisper, we're counting on you. Moscow's calling, truth don't hide. Shadows talk on the witness side. We ain't buying every show they sell. There's a storm in Idaho, and it's raising hell.
Courtroom drama on a primetime feed. Everybody talking about what they think they need. Evidence, sealed deals under the table, but justice ain't blind, she's bleeding unstable. Whole damn case, feeling double-edged, sword ripped. They point one way while the proof says no. We've been fed a bunch of lies from these wolves, you know.
The wolves of Moscow roam. No one's safe at home. Truth is louder than the gavel's tone. Justice howls through the They said the case was sealed, but the cracks keep showing. You can't bury the real when the world's still knowing.
Truth on fire tonight. Shine the spotlight bright.
From Moscow town to the nation's door, the wolves are rising, we ain't fooled no more. Truth on fire tonight. Shine the spotlight bright. From Moscow town to the nation's door, the wolves are rising.
We ain't fooled no more. For the four who still whisper, the fight's not over.